Two things can be true at the same time. On one hand, Noor is the greatest anime character. Love this cinnamon roll. But on the other hand, he's the biggest idiot. And I love the cinnamon roll. We know Noor has a desire to eat poison, and he's probably ate a little too much in his childhood alone. His brain is probably full of holes. He looks like cheese, like Swiss cheese. Let's be honest. But I hope he never learns. I need him to end up on the Iron Throne and assume he's just the bench warmer. Like, it's hilarious. In last week's episode, he made basically God Emperor Dragon call him daddy and submit to him. How do you top that? Well, he solos an army, becomes a human tornado, and he doesn't beat up the Emperor. I mean, even knowing who he is deep down inside, I don't even know the faces he was making. It actually gave me the heebie-jeebies too. But he made an Emperor with arguably the strongest armor in the world that shouldn't be able to be cut or broken by anything, soil himself, hiss himself, and run off. I think at that moment, if Noor would have said, "Call me daddy," he would have. He would have dropped to his knees and opened his mouth, because that's how scared he made him. As I have said, this man parries 20% of the time. Because sometimes he actually legitimately parries. But when you're running through an army, swinging, you're not deflecting at that point. You're not parrying at that point. You're simply attacking. There's one moment he swings overhead and clobbers them. I thought this man was the new thing casted in the Fantastic Four. He was saying it was clobbering time. That ain't no parry, my boy. That's an overhead swing. This is just a 10 out of 10 for entertainment value alone. I, of course, have full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and good thoughts to any of these I Parry Everything episodes, you know it's going to be over there exclusively. So, the misunderstanding about the dragon was better than I thought. Because, walking into this episode, I completely forgot that there was an emperor kind of doing some D-bag things and was trying to cause a ruckus. So, to me, it's like, oh, the dragon submitted. It's all's well that ends well. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to turn into some, like, little waifu character, which it's like 9 out of 10 anime times. But instead, we got something more interesting. Because here's the thing. Once you make a dragon submit and you have characters saying you did that, there's no way to misunderstand that. Apparently there is. Didn't even cross my mind, but if you put yourself in the shoes that this is a very uneducated, probably mentally underdeveloped, and probably mentally little not all up there given all the poison he's ate. The idea that you look at Rollo, the dragon whisperer, and say, damn, I'm really glad you did that. I understand the misunderstanding. And that's the thing I like about the show. When Noor misunderstands, it's like 50-50. Sometimes I'm like, damn, I completely see how he would misunderstand that if I was put in his shoes. And then the other half, I'm just like, what an idiot. But no matter what, I have a smile on my face, so it works for me 100% of the time. Even when I do think he's just an outright idiot. And the idea that we made the dragon not only submit, we gave him a new life's purpose. So, because our boy is the one clearly giving the orders, and then Rollo's the messenger pigeon, the dragon's like, sure, I'll never hurt humans again. Yep, absolutely, I'll just go on my merry way. Did not expect that dragon to get shot down. I was actually in disbelief. I think the dragon's still alive. I don't think that was a death blow, though in most circumstances that should be, just given the hyper beam of death that was. I'm hoping the I need to see my boy ride on this dragon, parrying as he's actually just turn him into a dragon rider, please and thank you. It is hard to imagine, though, after soloing an army, soloing a dragon, how he misunderstands that he's not, like, this man thinks he can't fight as he's Sonic the Hedgehog swinging around Guts' greatsword saying parry as he's one-shot. He literally disarmed every single person, sword and shield, to the point that it got thrown in the air like a tornado picked it up, and then, like, you know, Archer from Fate Zero opening up the gates of Babylon, just skewering fools afterwards. Just the coolest and funniest thing all in one. But I don't think I've ever seen this face. Like, our boy had, like, a menacing look. If you show some of these shots to people who don't watch this show, they're like, damn, like, who killed his childhood friend? Who killed his crush? You know, something like that. But the idea that I'm sure it's a misunderstanding for the face reactions, but I don't blame that king, that emperor, for pissing himself. I think most people should if they have any sense of what fear is. One thing I do have to once again highlight, I talked about it last week, given we did have an entire dragon fight, and not a small dragon either. It's something that took up the goddamn map. The production in this show is actually surprisingly good. You can nitpick. There's 3D, the cannons that look like trains, and, you know, even when the dragon initially flew away, there is 3D 100%. But this show's consistent, man. If you asked me at the start of this anime season, after watching, say, the first 2 to 3 episodes of everything that I'm following, I would have put I Parry Everything closer to the bottom of what I thought was going to remain consistent throughout the season, because it didn't give me the initial impression that, damn, this is going to be, and I'm not saying it's overall the best produced show of the season, but I will say it's actually one of the most consistent shows. The art direction hasn't dipped, the animation for what it wants to do has remained consistent, but honestly, when you look at what they did in this episode, or even in last episode, it actually went above and beyond, and honestly shows that are arguably some of the biggest shows of this season, like, say, Tower of God. You would assume that would be like, I never in a million years would have said this, but I Parry Everything is better produced than Tower of God Season 2. And I'm sure that's going to ruffle some feathers for some people, but I think that's the cold hard facts. We can have our opinions and differ, of course, but for me, like, that's absolutely the truth. And I would have laughed if I heard myself say that by episode 3 of either one of those shows. I'd be like, there's no way in hell. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel now. We are dealing with objectively one of the dumbest characters in existence. And I mean, we understand why. I mean, he didn't really have the best upbringing education-wise. He spent his childhood eating poison. That's sure to mess with your internals inside your body. And also, you have to admit, you can't just simply say he's always stupid. Sometimes what starts his misunderstandings, you can understand. Like the idea that Rollo is like a dragon whisperer, so we initially think that. But yes, he is an idiot too. Like, the man doesn't even parry half the time. He's actually just simply attacking. And if he ever properly understood that he could attack, one-man army, and there's a reason why that emperor pissed himself. Literally, King Clay needed 2 hands to wield a blade that no one else could, and this man's casually parrying with 1 hand. Anyone should piss themselves in that moment. At this point, we're going to parry the moon before the show's over. One thing I was hoping to see is that when our boy came in to attack the Emperor, I was kind of hoping that potentially his armor was just going to all shatter from like a parry attack or something, and our boy would just be left naked and just completely embarrassed. But then again, the night's still young for this dumb bastard. Let me know what you're feeling down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got the James CR7, Jeff, Dawn, Chemis, Ricardo Pelego, Fluid Druid, and we also have Shadow Cyber Demon. So I appreciate the support, everyone, and please take care, and you'll have a good one.